National contestant number 6. Monica Leck. Who is Jack Trice? Who is Jack Trice? Monica Leck.
I grew up near Ames, Iowa. That's home of the Iowa State Cyclones. College football is really big in that town. And the name of their football stadium is Jack Trice Stadium. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests, today I'm here to tell you about Jack Trice and what he did that earned him the stadium to be named in his honor. I want to start at the very beginning of Jack's life. Jack was born in the early 1900s. His grandparents were former slaves, and his father was a former Buffalo soldier who enrolled in the first grade at the age of 25 because that was his first chance to go to school. Education was important to the Trice family, and they moved him to Cleveland so that he could go to East Technical High. Jack played football there, and he played really well. And his coach was really good at it too. The high school football coach landed the head coaching job at Iowa State. Jack Trice and about 5 of his fellow teammates followed that coach to Ames, Iowa. Now this is a big deal. Jack is now going to college, and he's younger than his father was in the first grade. Jack took on more than a full-time load. He worked part-time to pay for college. There were no athletic scholarships given back then. And in spite of his full activities, he still maintained an A average. At the end of his freshman year, he returned to Cleveland, Ohio, and he married a woman named Cora May, and he brought her back to Ames with him. He now starts his sophomore year, a married man. An even bigger deal, Jack Trice made the varsity football squad. This is a big deal because there are some teams who don't even want to play against a man who looks like Jack Trice. Doesn't matter to Jack, there are plenty of teams who will. And Jack is going to play in his first conference game. He travels with his team to his first conference game in Minnesota. They stay in Minneapolis, and the team stays at the Radisson Hotel, but not Jack. He has to stay at the Curtis due to segregation. Doesn't matter for Jack. He decides to focus on the game ahead, and he spends that night thinking about football. Saturday is game day. Second play of the game. Jack is injured in the shoulder. Jack says it doesn't matter, it only hurts a little, and he still wants to play. He does play, and he plays really well. It's a close game. Third quarter. Jack goes for a very aggressive tackle. He rolls on the ground, and he lands on his back. He's trampled on by multiple members of the opposing team. Again, Jack is injured. Again, Jack says, doesn't matter, he still wants to play. But this is a little tougher. He struggles to get up, and his teammates help him off the field. The coaches send him to the local hospital to be examined. And they determine Jack is okay enough to travel back to Iowa. So he goes back to Iowa, and he has to lay on a straw mattress. And on that trip, Jack starts to have trouble breathing. They re-examine him in Iowa, and they learn his injuries are serious. He had a broken clavicle, internal bleeding, and a hemorrhaged lung. At this point, they think surgery is too risky, and it looks like Jack might recover on his own. On Monday, Jack Trice took a turn for the worse, and he died from those injuries. This was very, very sad for Iowa State. They canceled classes and they held a funeral. Over 4,000 people attended. The night before the funeral, they found a letter in Jack's coat pocket. It was written on stationery from the Curtis Hotel. I'd like to read you that letter. To whom it may concern, October 5th, 1923. My thoughts before the first real college game of my life. The honor of my race, my family, and myself are at stake. Everyone is expecting me to do big things tomorrow. I will. My whole body and soul are to be thrown recklessly about the fields tomorrow. Every time the ball is snapped, I will be trying to do more than my part. On all defensive plays, I must break through the opponent's line and stop the play in their territory. Beware of mass interference. Fight low, with your eyes open and toward the play. Roll back the interference. Watch out for crossbucks and reverse end runs. Stay on your toes every minute if you expect to make good. Jack. 7:45, he wrote this letter. Iowa State read this at his funeral. Eventually, they put this on a plaque. They built a statue in Jack Trice's image. And eventually, they even named the stadium Jack Trice Stadium. This letter has inspired many, many people. And I think about how it could even change my life. When I wake up, I think about the things I have to do. I hit the snooze. What if instead I ask myself, how can I do those things in a big way? How could I better honor my race, my family, and myself? How could I do more than my part? I will be on my toes because I do expect myself to make good. I pledge to you today to honor Jack Trice and live his words. And I hope you will join me and do the same. Madam Justice.